Hey Bay Youth, welcome to the So Good podcast.
So good!
Hey Bay Youth, my name is Gigi.
I'm Addie.
And I'm Romeo.
And we're going to be your So Good podcast hosts today. We're super excited to be talking about servanthood today. It's going to be so much fun.
So fun.
If you notice, we're all bevved up.
We are bevved
Let's
up.
talk about it.
Absolutely.
Addie, what's your bev of the day?
My bev of the day is from Starbucks. I got a peach iced green tea with lemonade.
It's really good. I tried it. It's really yum.
It's really yummy.
I got an acai. It's low-key not that good. I don't know what that Starbucks barista was on, but he was not making it great. But it's fine. Romeo, what's your bev?
I just have water because you guys know hydrate or dihydrate.
Hydrate or That's what I always say. That's what I always say.
Absolutely.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
Absolutely. All right. Our next segment, my favorite segment, is our So Goods of the Week.
So goods of the week.
Guys, what are your So Goods of the Week? Romy, how about you start?
My so good of the week, or in general, actually, is that I applied to get into a new school. So I'm hoping for the best when it comes to that.
Shout out.
Shout out.
My So Good of the Week, I've had a so good week.
Yeah.
But honestly, my So Good of the Week, probably, I ordered a grande today. I ordered a grande and then ordered a venti cup of ice and then poured it together. And it's basically means my drink is free because I got it in a venti cup and only paid for a grande.
Yeah. My so good of the week is that Mrs. Grijalva made the best breakfast ever. Shout out Mrs. Grijalva.
Shout out Mrs. Grijalva.
It was so good, guys.
Yes, my mom does make great breakfast, so that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Lou.
And I'm Aisha.
And I'm Mar. And our first thing that we want to tell you today is to follow us on our socials. What's our socials, Mar?
Our socials are at bay.youth. Don't forget the dot.
Don't forget it.
Dot.
You don't want to miss out on that. We have so many details and information on events that we have here, so don't want to miss out on that.
Yep, we talk about even when our news podcast episode comes out. So check it out, please.
Yes. And speaking of events, Mar, what is an event that is coming up that everyone should know about?
Okay, an event that's coming up, because school's coming up, is we have back to school night. So it's going to be August 13th at the Concord campus, and then August 14th at the Brentwood campus, all at 6:30. So make sure you're there if you're a student going back to school.
Mm-hmm. Not only do we have back to school night, but we also have
We also have the first small groups of the semester. Woo!
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so that's going to be August 20th at the Concord campus, and then August 21st at the Brentwood campus.
Yeah,
also
it
at
is.
6:30.
Can't wait
It's
to
going to
see
be
you
a fun
guys'
time.
beautiful faces there.
Yeah, so excited.
Yeah. Okay, well, not only do we have small groups and all the things during the weekdays, but on Sundays, we have our youth sit-ins. And so at the 9 a.m. and noon service, we want to see you guys there. We're going to be in the front middle row. And this is just a time where we, as students and the youth group, essentially get to sit together and worship and listen to the message and just be all together. So if you want to do that and join us, please, we love to see you there.
Yeah. And our last final announcement, I know it's a bunch, we got it, but is please, if you're interested in joining student leadership, please do not be shy to do so. Reach out to your small group leader or any adult leader here at the Bay Youth, and they would love to get you plugged in. And speaking of serving, let's get into this podcast about servanthood.
Check it out.
Today, we're going to be talking about servanthood, what it means to be a servant, how you give your time and work through the church as a volunteer. It's going to be so much fun.
So much fun.
So much fun. Our first question, how long have you guys been serving within the church?
Me, I have been serving within the church for almost a year.
Yeah.
It's been really fun.
About a year for me
About a
too.
year.
I started from youth internship last year. Shout out to the internship, guys.
Shout out internship.
Summer internship next year, be an intern. But yeah, youth internship probably was the first time I had really served in a greater capacity. So yeah, that was probably about a year ago too, was when I started serving.
Absolutely, yeah. I have been serving for about 3 going on 4 years now. I started serving before the internship, but that's when I got heavily involved. That's when the summer internship of 23 started. So I jumped on that, and since then, yeah, I have just been doing a lot of work for the church and just been going along.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Addie.
Okay. What places have you been serving?
That's a great question, Addison. I started as a 12-year-old in announcements, doing announcements for youth. But like we said, like in the last year, we've kind of been like doing more. So like working more in the comms team. I know that we all work in the comms team, but
Yeah.
also
No,
how do
yeah.
you go?
Comms, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Romy.
Yeah, so in the avenues I serve in, of course, production. Like I do a lot of camera work, lighting.
Shout out production.
I don't.
Shout out production.
I don't code any lights. I just use the little buttons that they put on the machine.
I love
so.
doing lights because it's so easy. You just press like 4
Absolutely,
buttons
yeah.
total. Yes, definitely.
I have been comms.
Comms.
Yeah. Comms and slides.
Slides.
Shout out production for slides. Yeah.
Yeah. So like personally, what made you start serving? Like what made you want to serve?
I started serving because I was just interested in, well, first of all, production, of course, like in a generation that is kind of like revolving around technology. Like I obviously like I'm drawn to that already. So just started off with doing slides for youth, and then that kind of just like snowballed into youth to big church, and then photography and all that, and youth communications, and yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's really good. What about you?
What about me? Thank you for asking, Addison. Last summer, right before internship, we went to summer camp. I had a really incredible summer camp experience, honestly. It just got me excited about like serving in the church and like being the hands and feet of Jesus. Like that was something that God really put on my heart last summer, which I've seen him like work through that like desire that he's put on my heart in the whole like in like those things you see where it's like if you told like 2023 me like what happened, like they would not believe you. Like I feel like that's the vibe where it's just like in a year like it's been like a complete 180 like serving wise. Like I'm super heavily involved in like spaces that I wasn't. So that's pretty much what made me start serving.
Gotcha.
Was my camp experience.
Honestly, yeah, like definitely. Like I've been in church like my whole life, so PK guys. So,
PK.
So I've always like watching my mom and dad like always doing something, and even like my older brother like either on keys or like doing slides. Like I've always been drawn to that. But honestly, Gabrielle, you made me wanting to do internship this year, and so
What an
'cause
inspiration.
it sounded so fun last year. And so I really wanted to do it this year, and I'm glad I did.
Cuteness. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of talking about like the like mentors or like people that like inspired you like in your life, like your parents or your brother.
Yeah.
Like, is there any other people that we feel like has inspired us?
Pastor Brandon, our youth pastor here at the Bay.
Shout out, be
Shout
well.
out Be Wells.
He's definitely been like a servant that I look up to, like the way he just serves his youth, just the way he just talks with his community, and just like is a really generous man. Like I really look up to him, and of course, like he's my brother-in-law, so I live with the man.
Yeah.
So
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think also like growing up in the church, like Addie said, like my parents definitely have been like a role model of like what it means to be like a good servant and how to lead like a team, but like in a Christ-centered way.
In a Christ-centered way, yeah.
Also, our youth pastors, the lovely Apollo Solse, he's not our youth pastor anymore, but
Shout out
Apollo in Pleasanton, he's been like definitely someone to look up to on like how to run a ministry and like using aspects of his teaching and his leadership is definitely inspiring, I think.
Yeah.
okay, so the Bible talks about the importance of loving others. So how does this correlate with serving?
I think that there's a really good, like our church, we kind of have the motto of like loving God, loving people. But like in that, like there's like a quote I seen. Gosh, I don't remember where I seen it. Probably Pinterest. Shout out Pinterest.
Shout out Pinterest.
But like be living proof of a loving God. Like be actively like showing, like if I see like other people and I'm like, wow, they're just so kind or they're so nice or they just have such a generous heart. And then I learn that they're a Christian. I'm like, wow, like that's a Jesus thing. Like that's a God thing. So I think that for sure is like using, like be actively showing, like be representing Jesus like through your actions and through your words and like how you treat other people.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it's not doing it for like you or for like other people. It's more like doing it for God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think when people show that, it's definitely like, oh wow, like I'm doing this for him.
For sure.
So like,
Yeah.
it's just
And like leaders in my life that like I know that like don't, like they're not doing it for personal gain. Like those are the leaders that like led me to be where I am now. Like without
Yeah.
like godly leaders, like I wouldn't be sitting here
No, yeah.
in this podcast
No,
right
yeah.
now.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'd say like the correlation between loving and serving people is that like the more love you have for someone, it's like more of a heartfelt desire to serve them because without the love, it feels like more of an obligation to.
Yeah.
But that's just like my 2 cents. Like if
Yeah.
you, the more obviously you like you can serve people, but like serve people with love, that's where connections, relationships build. So
Yeah, definitely. And like
Yeah.
on that, like you saying like serving people with love, like do you have to love other people to serve them, or like can you love people that are like that like you don't love or like that are hard to love?
So I would also say yes, you can serve people that you don't have like the love for, but it's just there is no like fire technically. Like you just will not have like a good stable like foundation to build your relationship on because again, it will feel like a task or an obligation. So if you don't have like the drive behind it, then there is no reason. There's
Yeah.
kind of just like, oh, I'm doing this because
sure.
No, yeah,
Like it's like if you like aren't like actively like intentionally implementing, like there's a verse, 1 Corinthians 16:14, let all that you do be done in love. Like if you're not actively implementing that into your life and into your serving, like it's no longer going to be about the glory of God. It's going to be about you just doing the thing.
Mhm.
No,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
And I also feel like you don't have to love someone in order to serve them.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't love them. I'm saying like love
Yeah.
your neighbor as yourself. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Like there's definitely a difference between like loving someone and like serving lovingly, like doing it in
Yeah.
love versus loving.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think that like showing kindness and generosity to people who like might not do it back.
Yeah. might
Like
not-
that's like the
yeah.
most Jesus thing you can do.
Yeah,
Like
honestly.
Yeah.
yeah. Romy, can you take Galatians 5, please?
Okay, yes. So Galatians 5 says, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love, for the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command, love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
No,
That's
yeah.
that's a really good verse. I
That
do
really
I
is.
do really like it. Like the verse kind of talking about like serve one another humbly in love. Like who's easy to serve? Who's hard to serve for you guys?
I'm kind of like backing up my point still, but it's easy to serve people who you feel like you already have a connection built with.
Mhm.
Kind of just like, sorry, I'm gonna bring up like a weird illustration, but it's kind of just like driving with someone you know rather than driving in like an Uber or something. It's like if you're driving with someone you know, you'll be genuine with your feelings, but if you're driving in like an Uber or something, you won't because the furthest connection you have was the app on your phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So-
good. Yeah, I think like it's hard to like treat people with kindness, like not like match their energy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if people aren't like treating us like 100% the way we want to be treating them, like we just won't then. But I
Yeah.
think like something that is like an important reminder in my life, like every person that you're serving, every person that you encounter in like your serving opportunities, like that's a person that Jesus chose to die for. And so like that's important. Like when I'm like, it's really hard to serve this person, or like getting in my head about that, I think that that's an important reminder is like
Yeah.
Jesus also chose to die for this person too. Yeah.
Honestly, like I completely agree with that. Like I feel like it's hard to serve someone who definitely hasn't showed you kindness or like been like nice to you or anything. So
Absolutely.
it's definitely hard to do that. But like in the end, like you know, like it's still like the right thing to do and it's still like the right thing to serve them. So I'd say that's definitely like it might be hard for someone, but you like in the end, like you're still gonna do it because you're a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like something that one of like the leaders in my life have told me, like one of my mentors, is like something that they say is stop talking down on people who have lost their way and start praying that they find it.
Oh,
Like
that's great.
it's easy to like get on other people that are hard to serve, but like really what our responsibility is as
Yeah.
servants is like to love them the way that Jesus loves
Yeah.
them. So yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's definitely.
my dad like always says like why serve if you can't serve everyone.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
Oof, that's
Yeah.
good. Shout out Mr. Ambrose.
shout out Mr. Ambrose.
He is a very wise man. I definitely,
Yes.
yeah. So like kind of going back to that verse, what they were saying, where it says, serve one another humbly in love. What does it mean to serve with humility? And like, how would you define that?
Honestly, like serving with humility, like meaning not to serve for you, but to serve for like the glory of God. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like not make it about yourself.
Yeah, like don't like don't go around like telling people, oh yeah, like I did this, like I did that. Like
yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
like you shouldn't
Like it's not about
it's
you.
not about you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
because God knows, like God saw you do that and he knows what you're doing. That's
Yeah.
all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I would say to serve with humility is to basically, just serve without like seeking recognition, because like you are just serving them selflessly because you want to fulfill the needs, because there is just like love behind the drive. So it's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, definitely. There was a verse that Pastor Nathan Kennedy shared in
Nathan Kennedy, shout out.
there's a verse that he shared in one of his sermons recently, 2 Corinthians 4:18. So we do not focus on what is seen, but what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, for what is unseen is eternal. Like that's kind of basically just saying like what people see now, like what people are seeing, like you serving or like you being on stage and doing announcements or you like helping anywhere really in a serving capacity, like
Yeah.
that is seen. But what is unseen, that's eternal. Like that is what is really God is looking for, and that's really what counts. So I think that that's definitely
Yeah.
like what you're doing here is important and it does have value, but it is temporary.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely.
Like talking about humility, like how would we define humility?
Yeah. I think defining it is like kind of what you were saying. Like it's not about you. Like
Yeah.
like I'm trying not to use the word to define the word, but like
Yeah.
humbling yourself, like knowing like this is not about me. Like none of it was ever about me. This is for the glory
Yeah.
of God.
Mhm.
And I think that's the first step to being a good leader for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we could also see like humility as like the characteristic of just being like modest and respectful, and just knowing like what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
When you were kind of talking about earlier, like seeking recognition, I really like that. Like, how do we, like, actively, like, practically, like, not, like, try and take credit for like what we're doing and like how we're serving?
Honestly, like this is like I feel as if like let's say someone I don't know, let's say you're serving someone and they don't give you any credit. In fact, they actually say that they did it themselves. Like I feel like that would be like the most like hard thing to like not get mad at, but then at the same time like God saw you, God knows what you did, and that's all
Mhm.
that matters.
Yeah, that's
so yeah.
Yeah, I think like an important thing that
Sorry, I think also like
it's okay.
Okay,
knowing,
perfect.
I don't.
I think what you said was I think also be like a little bit
Okay.
okay, right.
I'm with you. I think like in like times in my life where I've like made it about me, like when I was in like when I was doing announcements, like kind of what I talked about before, like I wasn't doing it because I was like, this is something I'm passionate about and I want to help the Bay Youth. I was doing it because like I want to go up and I want to be on stage and I want to have a mic. Like that was the reason that I was doing it. And there was a lot of conviction in that. Like there was definitely like that was obviously not the thing that I was supposed to be doing. And that's not the heart to have when serving. So I did like take a step down from that serving, like from serving in announcements at that point and did like production instead, where it's like it's easier to remove myself from this space and like not allowing myself to like be in those places and serve in those places where I can make it about me and I can make
Yeah.
it about like the platform that I have.
Mhm.
Is there any like other like
Honestly,
stories in your guys' life where you feel like you've
like honestly, I do slides like every week for church. So it's like the only reason I was doing them was because my dad literally always gets me Dutch afterward, okay? So I was like, oh, like, hey, like, if I do these slides, then I'll definitely get Dutch. And then I realized, like, that's kind of, like, wrong. Like, maybe, like, I shouldn't be taking advantage of that. Don't get me wrong. Like,
we love Dutch
we
bros.
love Dutch. Like, I'll take it any day.
Right.
But
Right, but if you're doing
if
it for
you're
like a
doing it-
reward,
yeah, if I'm
it's no
doing it
longer
for-
serving.
It's no longer serving.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of, like, that's why I, like, didn't bring it up. Like, I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would say for myself, like outside of a church setting, honestly, like when it comes to school and like group projects, man, like a lot of times, like I do a lot of the work, but I also like sometimes don't recognize that the other work that people are putting in. So I'll like put my name first, or I'll do like I'll do all the little
Yeah.
things to kind of make myself like step out really.
Yeah.
But it's just a process of just like humbling yourself, kind of
Yeah,
just like learning that
definitely.
like all these people that you're working with are like working to make something like amazing. So it's just
Yeah.
like you should recognize every single person.
Yeah.
That's good.
Honestly, like another example of that too would be like worship. Like let's say you're worshiping, like you're doing it to worship, not to sing.
That's okay. I love
Mm.
this.
Yeah.
I love this
That's-
so much. I
Yeah.
love talking about this. I don't like talking about how my dad is a worship pastor, but my dad is a worship pastor, and I've definitely seen like people that he's led in his like on his team and in his ministry.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely like a difference between like just that as like an analogy, but like there's a like this applies to all ministries, but like there's a difference between you going up on stage and singing versus you going up on stage and worshiping. Like if you're going up on stage to sing, like that's not how you serve.
It's not
If you're
serving.
going up on stage, like you should be going up to lead other people in worship, not to show people I'm a really good singer. Like that's not the vibe. Like yes, it involves singing, but like you are not the main focus. The main focus is God. And as soon as the main focus isn't God, that's how you know
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
not the serving.
And honestly, my dad, also a worship pastor, guys.
Me and Addie just live the exact same life.
No, yeah.
We actually just live the exact same life.
Yeah, honestly, we honestly do. But like I've also like seen him like put people on stage to sing, but it's like when like they're not actually like you can just tell that they're not actually worshiping.
Yeah.
And that they're just singing because they have like a good voice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
And I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I don't think that's very right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
definitely agree. Like there's
Yeah.
like through your actions like you don't have to like go out and be an evangelist to preach the gospel.
No,
like
yeah.
you do that through your actions anyways. Like
Yeah.
you represent Christ like every single day, like through how
Yeah.
you treat people or how you act or like what you say or like how you lead or how you serve. Like that is a representation of Christ.
Yeah.
And I think that it's definitely important to like go into those spaces like humbled and like it's not about me. It was never about me. It was never
Yeah.
about how good I was.
How good of a singer I was.
Right. Or
Yeah.
like if I can like I don't know anything about instruments, but it's like
Yeah.
if I sound really good, like basically
If I could play really good.
exactly. Or it's like making it about yourself. Like I'm better than this other person. Like that's I feel
Yeah.
like not.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
Like how kind of talking about how like serving, like it can be hard, like what you were talking about, how like serving, like when we like it's hard to love other people, like it can be
Mhm.
hard to do that, like it can kind of just feel like a responsibility or like a weight. Like how are we actively, joyfully serving others around us, like even when it can be hard?
Honestly, you just have to have like a positive mindset and a positive attitude to serve joyfully. Because I
Mhm.
feel like if you don't have one of those things, then number one, like, why are you serving if you can't be in a positive mood if you
I'm with
Yeah.
you. No, I'm
Yeah.
with you. I
Yeah.
understand. Like kind of like going back to what I was talking about, like when I was like doing announcements and like deciding like I think I'm not doing this for the right reason. Like I
Yeah.
think that that's not why I'm supposed to be up here.
Yeah.
Like I think that took a lot of prayer. Like that took a lot of
Yeah.
me spending time with God and like that conviction. And I think that like that's the number one like way to like stay accountable
yeah.
Mhm.
and like be like, am I doing this for the right reason? Am I doing this like in the way that I'm supposed to, in the way that God wants me to? Romy, kind of how you were talking about earlier, how like the question of like how do we love others, like, or how do we serve others that like it's hard to love?
Mhm.
And like you kind of talking about how like it can feel like more like a responsibility when we find it like difficult to love them or like serve them. Like how do we do that like joyfully? How do we get out of that like responsibility mindset, like this is my job, this is my thing that I have to do,
Mhm.
versus like this is my thing that I get to do?
Mhm. I would say honestly, like when it comes to anything, really just like bring it to God. Like pray about it. Like if you aren't finding joy in an area that you're serving with or serving people, just pray about it. Just like honestly give all your troubles to him, because again, like he listens to us. Like he will give us like the support, the answers, the help really. So again, just like when you aren't finding joy in an area, just pray about it. Just seek God, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, yeah. And like how to serve joyfully, you definitely have to have like a positive mindset and like a positive attitude while you're serving. Because if you don't have one of those things, then like why are you even like serving?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like in order like obviously we have our bad days and we can't like always be happy.
Yeah.
But like
You're allowed to be like a human
exactly,
and like
you're allowed to
experience
have- Yeah, you're allowed
emotions.
to have feelings, but it's like also at the same time like if you're serving and it's just like you're not like you're being mean.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no,
Like,
I understand. Like
Yeah.
there's like you were saying, like a positive mindset. Like I think that like getting to that space, like Romeo was saying, like very much like is through prayer. Like
yeah,
like
definitely.
spending time with God in prayer and like asking him like humble me, like make sure
Yeah,
I am in the
honestly.
right headspace
Yeah.
for that. Like kind of me talking about like when I was doing announcements, like I was just like felt convicted. I was like, I'm not doing this for the right reason. Like this is not why people go up and do
Yeah.
announcements, is it?
Yeah.
And like spending that time in prayer with God, like that was not easy to like go up to my youth pastors and be like, hey, I'm actually feeling really self-centered right now. Maybe you should take me off the stage. Like that's not easy. It's hard to humble yourself, but I think it's really, really important on how to serve others properly and how to do that. And like we like through our actions, like you don't have to like go out and like be an evangelist or be like a missionary to like represent Jesus. Like you do that anyways. You do it through your actions, you do it through your words, you do it through like how you treat other people. Like you're doing that anyways. And I think that if we're not serving with the right mindset or with prayer, then we're not going to be doing it joyfully, and it's
Yeah.
going to be
And honestly, like even if you are like having a bad day while you're serving, a smile goes a long way, guys.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for
Honestly.
that, Addie.
Yeah.
A smile
Yeah.
goes a long
A
way.
smile goes a long way, guys.
My favorite picture of Addison ever is we were at camp. We were at camp, and it's this cute little picture of her smiling, and it's so cute because she looks adorable and she's
No,
just smiling.
guys.
I agree. I think I low key it's a work on for me. My resting face is not the nicest. It's a problem, but like
A
I
problem.
totally agree. Like a smile does go a long way. Like I don't want to seem unapproachable. Like that's the last thing I want is like this is me walking around comms holding a camera and I look mad at the world.
Yeah.
Like that's not what I want. That's not what we need. I think that that's definitely something
Yeah.
is like that's also through your actions is like how you hold
Definitely.
yourself like while you're serving.
As we wrap up our episode, what are we gonna leave the viewers today?
What are we leaving the viewers with?
Honestly, I would just say, if you're serving, continue to serve in the areas that you are just in right now, like that you feel called to. Because, again, like if God gives you the calling to serve in an area, He will also give you the resources. Sorry, I want to pull the Bible out real quick, but Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." So again, like throughout any situation you may face while you're serving, He will give you the help, the resources. So all you have to do is just trust in Him because He is using you in that area for a reason and to make a bigger impact.
That was fire.
Yeah,
Oh my
honestly,
gosh.
yeah.
I think that something that I live by is Jesus died for you in public, don't live for him in private. Like I
good.
think that
Ooh,
it's
that's
it's really, really important to be like a servant and like having that heart for like I seen this thing. Like I seen this thing. I've said that a lot. I seen this thing where like it was like we joke about like what we would do like if it was our last day on earth. Like I would eat garbage. I would just like do like all the things I was scared to do. Like I would go skydiving or whatever.
Yeah.
And like Jesus knew it was his last day on earth and he washed his disciples' feet. Like even in that space, he was serving. Like having that heart to serve is such like a crucial step to being more Christ-like and growing in our relationship with God.
Absolutely.
As Mr. Ambrose always tells me, have a serving heart, because once you have a serving heart, then you know you're doing the right thing, and you know that because Jesus died for our sins. So I feel as if we serve and have a serving heart, then that's like giving back to Him for dying for our sins.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus died for you.
Shout
The
out
least
Mr.
you can do is live for him.
Yeah.
So that's all. As we wrap up the episode.
As we wrap up the episode.
Peace out, guys. That's all.
Yeah,
That's all we
guys.
have.
That's it.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
So good.